Hi, Michael Bettine here for this week's episode of It's Cuppa Time. And today I want to talk about a subject that I've seen recently on Facebook, the internet, and some people have asked me about. And that's, how do you book sessions? How do you get yourself out there and play for the public? So we're going to look at my ideas and what I've been doing for my whole career and take a look at how you can get out there. First, let's talk about booking sessions. Now, I've been booking gigs since I was about 18 years old when I had my first rock band, and we would go out and book our own gigs at bars and clubs and whatever places we could find. The process today, some almost 50 years later, is really still the same, except that now we have the internet. Back then, it was doing a lot of research through phone books, local newspapers, entertainment papers especially, maybe some local magazines, and then just asking other musicians, hey, what places are you playing? Can we get the contact person and their number and all that? Now today, fortunately, we have the internet, so it makes it much easier, and I do all my research on the web. So, like I said, I've been booking my own gigs for all this time until fairly recently, a couple of years, when my wife took over, basically being my manager and booking stuff. Because it's difficult to be the artist and the booking agent and, trying to find enough time to do both and do justice to each of them. But she loves to talk to people. She loves to connect things together, so she was glad to do it. And the process, again, is still the same that I was doing beforehand. So let's delve into it. First thing I do, I look at a map. Now, in my case, I live in Milwaukee, and I basically play within a 100-mile radius of my home. Sometimes I'll go a little further, but usually it's within about a 100-mile radius. And that's for a couple of reasons. The main reason is I can drive home. I don't have to book a hotel. I don't have to spend that extra money, that extra time of another day. I mean, I could play a gig, usually be home by maybe 11 at night, and sleep in my own bed. And I like that. After years of touring around and driving and staying in hotels and all that stuff, that doesn't really hold much magic for me now. Unless it was some sort of a big-time tour with being paid lots of money, being treated to a lot of first-class travel and accommodations and that. I've been there, done that. I don't want to do it anymore. At my age, I just want to come home at night. So like I said, get out a map. I've got a road atlas. Kind of draw a 100-mile circle and look at all the towns in there. And if you're booking yoga studios, most small towns over maybe 10,000 in population will have a yoga studio. And there's no reason not to check them out, because they could easily get 20 people or more at a studio. So that's what I do. I go through, I look at a city, let's say, like in my area, let's say Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. So I would Google yoga studios, Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, and then it would come up with a map and a list of all the stuff, usually within like 20 miles of the chosen spot. So you look at all those studios, then I make a list of them, and then I look at the website of each studio. There's a few things I want to know about the studio. One, is the room big enough? A lot of studios are really small and they can't accommodate my rig and enough people to make it worthwhile. The second thing is, are they on a ground level floor, or do I have to go up and down stairs? And if they are either up or down, do they have an elevator? At my age, I'm just kind of tired of carrying my stuff up some of these stairs. Like if you book in a downtown and the gig's on a second floor, that's a lot different than the second floor of your house. I mean, here we're talking about 20, 25 steps up and down. So if you have to make 5 or 6 trips carrying gongs and hardware and all that, that's a pain. Now, if it is a great looking place and I want to play there, I will see if I can get help. People help carry the stuff. Why should I lug it all, you know? But generally, that's a criteria I look at. Are there stairs? How many stairs? Is there an elevator? And then from there I can determine, is it a really cool studio? Maybe I want to do it anyway, or maybe not. The other thing I want to look at, does somebody already do gong and or sound sessions there? And I think this is a really, really important one. Probably the most important thing is, if somebody is already doing sessions at a studio, I don't want to horn in on them. I don't want to, it's, you know, they've got the place. I want to respect that. Just as I don't want somebody, if I'm doing sessions regularly at a place, I don't want somebody calling them up and trying to get in. And, you know, it's just like, it's a courtesy. So I always look, what are their events, live events? See if they hold this type of thing. And if they do, hey, somebody else is doing it, okay, I probably won't call them. Now maybe if it's a singing bowl thing, I will, because I offer, you know, all the gongs and the whole show. If somebody is doing gongs, I probably won't contact them. I'll make a note. I have a list. I have a no-call list that I keep, and, you know, like, already has gongs, so I leave it that way. Now what happens in some cases is the studio will call me, even though they already have somebody doing stuff. As your reputation grows, you know, people want you. So I've had quite a few studios that I did not contact eventually call me saying, I heard great things about you. I'd like to have you come do a session. But again, I think it's important not to try to push yourself into a studio that already has somebody doing this. Be courteous about that. Now, I have a great story about that. I have a friend who was doing a session, and after the session, somebody who had attended it also does gong things, and they started passing out their business cards. And it's like, that's really bad form. I mean, if you're at somebody else's session, don't try to promote your own. Don't do that. Just don't. Respect the person. They worked hard to get the place. They probably went through the same steps I'm talking about. So respect them. You're just going to get a bad reputation among people if you're pushy and try to horn in on other people's sort of territory. So don't do that. I go out of my way to not do that. Okay, so the things I look at. Is the studio big enough? Stairs and or elevator? Do they already have somebody doing gongs? And then I just look at, you know, other events. Maybe if they don't have a gong or singing bowl person coming in, but what type of events? Do they actually hold extra events? Or are they just purely like yoga and that's all we do? We have yoga and we don't have anybody come in and do anything else. So I collect a list of these places, and then currently my wife will call them and, you know, talk to the studio owner or the manager or whatever and give them the whole spiel on what I do and all, and hopefully book a session. But the big thing, you know, is doing your homework. You really have to do a lot of research. You wouldn't believe all the lists we have of, studios to contact, studios not to contact, places we've been that are really great. And sometimes you go to a place and it's like, oh, this just isn't a great place. I don't want to come back. So you put them on a don't go back list. Other places are really super and you go, wow, make sure to go back to this place because it's great. The studio owner is great. The studio is fabulous. It sounds great in there. The people are great, whatever. So I keep logbooks of everything. And we have a calendar book that we put everything in so we can keep track of what's going. Because we usually book 3, 4, even 5 months in advance. So I've already got fall bookings. And you really have to keep track of everything. Keep your stuff, just keep track of it. Now, actually, when you get the gig, I usually make a poster, kind of handy at that. And, I like to work in Photoshop. I have a poster template. I'll send them a poster. I'll send them some photos they can use on their website. I'll send them a blurb about what I do, a short bio on who I am, and maybe a link to a video or something. So I'm giving them promotional materials that they can just plug into their website and bang, promote the event. You don't want to just go, okay, I'll see you, in 8 weeks and leave it at that. I like to give them stuff they can use. I like to keep in communication with everybody. I find it just, it just makes it go better. I don't want to be like some sort of ghost who suddenly shows up. So we try to keep in regular communication. How are things going? Do you need anything else? Is there anything else we can do? And it's just, the more you can do and the easier you can make things go, the better it goes and the more the studio owners will like it. And then they'll have you back. Now, as far as actually doing the session, I always plot, I go on Google Maps, how long is it going to take me to get there? I always allow extra time for traffic. I make sure I'm there early. I need at least an hour ahead of time so I can load in and set up. So if it's a 6 o'clock session, I tell them I will be there at 5 o'clock. Can you have somebody there to open the door and let me in? And then I will, like I said, I'll look at Google Maps, I'll plot out the time, I'll plot out the route, and make sure I get there 5 o'clock or ahead of time, just so I don't have to rush. And I shouldn't have to say the next stuff, but I think it's really important, and I think a lot of people forget about it. 1, be professional, be courteous. You're not a rock star, You're not some 80s hairband rock star who's going to act like a punk and a doofus and think they're everything. No, you're not. Nobody cares. That's the truth. Nobody really cares. You're not a rock star. You're not bringing in 20,000 people. Okay? Be professional. That means be courteous to the studio owner and the people there. Set up in a timely manner. Don't make a big mess. Be courteous to all the people who come to your session. And then when it's over, I usually talk to people a little bit and, thank yous and goodbyes and all that. Pack up quickly. Get your stuff out in a nice manner. Thank them for having you there. Tell them you'd like to come back or you look forward to coming back. The big thing is be professional. Again, you're not a rock star. Don't get a big head. Don't get punky on anybody, really. And I know people who've done that, who think, oh man, I'm that. I'm the gong master, and It's like, no, it doesn't work. Even after all the years I've been doing this, I'm just another guy and I play gongs. I've built up a reputation over all these years, but I don't use that reputation to try to make me special or get any sort of favors or anything else like that. I usually downplay my reputation some because this is just what I do, you know. I'm no more special than the people who are coming to my session or the owners and that. But, you know, be courteous to everybody, and especially the studio owners and people, because if you're good around them and they like you, they will want you back. But if you act like a jerk and things like that, they're going to go, oh, yeah, his session was good, but I don't think we want them back. So, again, I shouldn't have to say this, but I know people who, you know, who act like they're some sort of a star. And that's basically it. Again, the big thing is doing your homework. You have to get on the web, you have to find studios and find out all about them and see if it's a fit for you. Then you have to contact them, see if you can convince them to get you to come there, and, you know, take it from there. Now, other things. Well, how much should I charge? Well, that can vary from a flat fee to a percentage fee. I usually work with a percentage fee. Sometimes I do work with a flat fee. It depends if it's what type of event it is. If it's just like I'm coming in and doing a session for people, I will do a percentage fee. And I don't take all the money because I want the studio owner to make some money. I don't want to be greedy. Again, I want to come back. So if I say, oh, it's a 90-10 split and I get 90% and they get a little 10%, well, they might not be happy about that. And it's like, oh, I had to drive here. I had to stay here while he was setting up and playing and tearing down. And there's electricity, and I had to have another person here, and I have to pay them, and blah, blah, blah. No, I want everybody to be happy. So I want the studio or the event person to come out with some money and be happy about it. Because again, that'll get me invited back. It's like, hey, if they made money, I made money, we're both happy. Let's do it again. Okay. Now, percentage, it can change. I usually work on a 70-30 or 80-20 split. Once in a while, 60-40, but it's a special place, maybe, that I will do that. You just have to find out what works. A lot of studios have something in place, and they say, we always do a 70-30 split. Okay, then that's it. You have to decide if it's worth it to you. Now, what about a flat fee? I will usually do a flat fee for an event. Something where there might be an indeterminate number of people coming. They might be coming in and out. Things like some sort of social gathering, grand opening, open house, a spirit fair, something like that. That probably more of a flat fee because you can't determine, what's happening. And in many of those cases, people are paying an admission for more than just me. So I will negotiate some sort of a flat fee based upon the size of the event, how many people might be coming through, and various other factors. Rarely will I do a flat fee with a yoga studio unless they just come out and offer me a huge amount of money, and I calculate, yeah, that's a lot of money for your studio, and it's a guaranteed fee no matter how many people show up, then I might do it. But it's rare that I'll do that for, like I said, a yoga studio. And flat fee, I can't give you any numbers. You would have to come up with your own numbers. I know it works for me. And it really it varies from event to event. I mean, I could say $500, I could say $1,000, I could say $1,500, $2,000. And that's really meaningless because it depends on the event. I mean, obviously, if it's an event and there's a possibility of 1,000 people coming through the door, you're going to want a pretty big flat fee. If it's more like 50 people are coming through the door, well, yeah, you're going to adjust it a lot lower than you would for 1,000 people. So it also depends on who you're doing it for. If it's a big corporation, I've done some big corporate things. They've got money to burn. They are used to paying a lot of money for things, so you can get a big fee. But if it's like a yoga studio, a spiritual bookstore, or something like that, it's not going to be big money, but I always make it worth my time, my gas, my food, and everything there. But again, you're going to have to come up with what works for you in each given situation. So to kind of conclude about booking sessions, it's really about doing your homework, doing the legwork, doing the research, and then getting on the old-fashioned telephone. I mean, my wife calls every studio. And if she gets an answer machine, she leaves a message to have them call her back, because we have found if you can engage in a conversation with the person, the chances are much better of booking a gig than they are just shooting out emails or things like that. And that's a big part of it. You want engagement. You want to be able to sell what you're doing. Sales, it's the same thing. I've worked retail in stores, music stores for many, many years, and it was all about that. The engagement with the customer. Find out what they like, what they want, what they're looking for, help them find something to fit their needs, and you've got it. So that's important, the engagement. And again, to rebook a session, the engagement, talking with them. Okay, so that was our look at booking gigs and sessions and getting yourself out there in the public eye. I hope you got some good tips, some good ideas that you can use. So we'll see you next week on It's Cup of Time.